Okay, video 2 back on this Honda, and I thought I made a mistake. No, I didn't make a mistake. I wanted to show you a low charge filling by vapor instead of liquid. Now if this is your first time catching my videos, you know I don't fill by vapor, I fill by liquid, and you'll have to see the proper way to do it in previous videos. But this is going to be the vapor way, and how long it takes. God damn, it takes a long time when you guys do through vapor. But so right now, before I shut off the last video, for this is video number 2, I left off, I was at 230 grams. I got in the system by vapor only. I'm attached on the vapor side. So now, as you can see, the high side is off, and I'm gonna open up the low side, and we're gonna fill this up to 800 grams. But what I want you to look at is temperatures. And oh, you could look at the superheat and subcooling if you want to on this one. So we see the superheat is really high, and we see the subcooling is, you can't have negative subcooling. You could see we're really low on the low side there. We're at 6 psi because we only have 235 grams out of 800. What I want to do is let's take a temperature of our discharge line coming out of the compressor, if I could do that without shaving my hands off on the belt. You'll just be friendly to me. No, I can't do that one on this one. It is not easy to get to, and I'm not going to do that. So let's get back here and take a look. Let's just look at the superheat. Look at the suction line temperature. Remember, the suction line temperature is the temperature of the evaporator. The suction line coming out of the evaporator. Now this is a dual evaporator, so this is a little messed up because it would be nicer if I could show you on a single evaporator system, but this has air conditioning in the rear too. And you can see that T, that branch off point. When you want to know if they're here, here's one. See that T right there? See where my finger goes right there? You see that? And that's going up, and it's going over, and it's going down in the back of the car. So that's the T coming from the rear of the evaporator, where both lines lead into one line. They replaced this line here. It was damaged, and you can see their sticker on it. And that means their technician had to go all the way back there to undo that bolt back there, the screw, the nut and everything. I'm sure he wasn't happy about that. To replace that liquid line. Let's let in a little refrigerant and keep a close eye on the superheat. So we're at 240. So let's open up a little suction here, and now we're letting it out to the suction line, and it goes in really slow. And so now we're up to 300 grams. So we're 300 grams. Let it stable out. Look at the superheat. Just keep an eye on the superheat. That's all we're looking at here today. And you can keep an eye out on that suction line too. Now this suction line where I have it tapped off at is actually a bad representation because I am taking off the front and rear combined. Let me just get the front. So I'm going to take the SLT, which is the suction line, where I have it wrapped up right there, connected to that line. I'm going to see if I could get for you my hands back there and get just on the evaporator in the front, which means I have to get in front of the T. There, I got it. Okay, I'm connected to it. Now we're just going to read the front evaporator, what's happening in the front. Nearly the same temperature, 69, 68 in the front. And maybe it's 2 more degrees because we're picking up a lot of superheat. We're picking up temperature because we have a metal line going all the way to the rear, and it's starving for refrigerant because it only has 300 grams out of 800. So the rear is starving because of its distance, the evaporator, and then there's a lot of metal line coming all back, and it's absorbing heat from the atmosphere. So when it dumps at that T, you're getting a combination of the evaporator that's close and has more liquid than the rear gets, and so it has a lower superheat, and we're getting a combine at the T between the front and the rear. So when I was connected right here, I'm reading a combination of the front and rear, and it's being distorted. I just want to look at the front right now. So let's put in a little more refrigerant. We're at 300 grams. Let's open it up. And let's put about 50 more grams in there. It's only vapor. So we put in 60 grams. 60 grams? Yeah, 60 grams. And you see our superheat fell a little bit. And I'll do a little climb up. And then I'll take a little time to steady out. And we have 53 degrees coming out of the dash. We no longer, what we were 91 degrees coming out of the dash when it was sitting before inside. In the car it was 91 degrees. So we're down to 52 degrees. And if you look at it, it's falling ever so slowly. Hovering right around there. That's probably the limit of with what refrigerant is there. It's 52 degrees. And we're at idle. We're not even at optimum speed because our compressor is not efficiently running at idle. They were not designed for air conditioning to be efficient at idle speed. So let's put about 50 more grams in there. Let's see where our superheat steadied out. And we're almost at a dead zero on subcooling. And our subcooling is actually not the proper place I'm taking the subcooling, because I'm taking the subcooling way to hell up here. I should be taking it right out of the condenser, but I can't get to it. And actually you get cheated a little bit, because when they have the receiver dryer attached to the condenser, you would really optimally want to take the subcooling before it travels and goes into the receiver dryer, not after it comes out, because, well, you have that volume of receiver. You are going through the subcooling channel on the bottom of the condenser and coming out, but we can't get over there. I'll explain that one. I'll do that one another day. It just depends on where they have the receiver at and in which direction where they come out on the lines at. I think I messed you up right there. I won't even go into that. So we dropped down to 51 on the superheat. 365 out of 800. Let's put a 50 grams in there. Right about there. Now we're at the halfway mark. We have half our refrigerant charge in the system. And we've dropped down to 50 degrees coming out of the dash. So we have 50% of our refrigerant charge and we're at 50 degrees. It's really too bad we couldn't get onto the compressor and give you what the temperature the compressor was running at when it was running low on refrigerant. Okay, so let's put another 100 grams in there. Now, if it's your first time watching my videos, you know for me to charge a car under liquid, under the high side, only takes about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. This takes a god-awful long time. I'm gonna have to shave, and my grandchild's actually going to graduate college by the time I finish recharging. You can see why I don't like recharging. You can't just open it up and you just don't dump all the refrigerant charge down the low side, because what you do is, and you're supposed to actually monitor and keep your refrigerant pressure to temperature above saturation, so it's actually not going down, going into a liquid and wiping off lubricant out of your compressor. That's the proper way. You just don't open it up, walk away and wait for 800 grams to go in, because what you're actually doing, you're getting so much new refrigerant in there that contains no oil in it that you're actually helping wiping off oil out of the bearings, out of the cylinders, or off of the swash plates, or off of the walls. If you're centrifugal and you have the vines, splayed vanes that come out, you're actually washing lubricant off. If you just open up the vapor side and you just let it fill all the way to 800 grams, you're literally just washing away with fresh refrigerant the oil off the compressor. And you don't want to do that. A little bit at a time. Okay, so our superheat has fallen to 32 degrees. Well, we only dropped about one degree out the dash. Let's go another 100 grams. You see where the superheat goes when it really cools up. I went 65 grams. Stopped right there. Remember, this is 2 evaporators. We got one coming from the rear too. Now that we're at 500 instead of 800, you see we're really low on the subcooling. Let's throw some more refrigerant in there. Okay. Let's close off the refrigerant. Now these numbers mean nothing when you're open to the refrigerant circuit, because you have the pressure of the tank messing up with the pressures inside here. So you actually have to let it stabilize, turn off your supply, and let it have the pressure of the system, not see the pressure of your refrigerant hose, of the refrigerant that you're feeding it. Now look at its superheat. Not much has changed on the subcooling. But look at our section line temperature. Okay, let's give it a little more refrigerant. Oh, let's look at our temperature. Look at, we just gave it a couple hundred more grams of refrigerant and we're still staying at 49 degrees. Okay, we're giving it some more. Let's take a look at it right here. Alright, stop to that 750. Oh, and we timed out. On. Look at here. So what I'm guessing is I am so cold, the outside is so cold right now, our superheat is just like staying there. And we have a variable displacement compressor. Funny stuff happens in the cold. Remember, there's an ambient temperature on here, sensor. There is a sun load sensor on the dash. It determines how much cooling is actually needed inside. We're down to 47 degrees on the outlet. I'm just doing this slowly. Okay, let's go another 50 grams, 40 grams. You see, as soon as I opened up that, you see the numbers change. That went into negative because the pressure coming out here doesn't jive, the temperature to pressure relationship doesn't jive with what it should be. So now you see I closed it and now it jumps back. $805 grams, 51 degrees, 50 degrees out of the dash. So we're no longer 60 superheat. When we started this video, we were at 60 degrees superheat. Now we're floating down here in the 10 range. 47 degrees out of the dash. And let's add a little RPMs to this thing and see what happens. This one reacts. Okay, so our RPMs is right up over there. See if I could get both of these in the shot at the same time. How can I do this? Let's see if I can get everything. I'm trying to get you as much information as possible. So, hit the RPMs. Can we see the RPMs in the background? I think they're going to focus on one or the other. And I'm going to give it about 1200 RPMs, just over 1,000, let's say about 12, 1250, 12, almost 12. We'll see how this guy reacts. No sun load, no outdoor, the sun load is pretty low, and the outdoor temperature is pretty low. Looks like it's about to level out there somewhere, not move anymore. Now the ideal way to test is with all the doors and windows open, when you want to know what it's going to do under a load. And it looks like we're bottoming out, looking at that low side there. Temperature, the clutch is actually kicking in, I think, or the regulator for the variables kicking in. You see it's holding at 21 psi, 42 degrees. Oh, you can see that pressure jumped up there. That's where it seems like the clutch kicked off and then back on again. And that's about it. So I did it the old-fashioned way of vapor fill. I filled the system on the low side using the vapor and took a god-awful long time. I should already be out of here. If you want to go broke running a shop and you do a lot of air conditioning, if you're doing it the vapor way, that's a sure way to put yourself out of business, because it just takes so damn long. Alright guys, I'll see you. Don't know why anybody shakes off the jerk-off cans and sucks it through the low side while revving an engine, because wouldn't you rather charge a car in 30 seconds, 60 seconds than several minutes? And then if you're in a busy shop and you have 6, 8, 10, 12 guys and you're an AC shop, it's the middle of summer, it's 100 degrees outside. Well, just think, if you shaved, if you had the equipment and know-how and knowledge to have a half dozen guys, a dozen guys, all had the equipment to shave the vacuum times down and the charging time down and everything like that, wouldn't that be more profitable and still give your customer better service than your competitors all around you? Alright guys, see you guys later. Adios.